I've got Barq's root beer today. I just poured it from a 2-liter bottle, and it's like extra. You ever have one of those sodas that just won't stop fizzing? Here, listen. I really hope you can hear that, or it's not going to be worth it. So, last night, Alicia... Shh! Just be quiet! Last night, Alicia and I went to the movies. We had been planning on going to see a movie after she got out of work. We were going to go see Haywire. I've discovered recently that I'm a pretty big fan of Steven Soderbergh. I want to mix up his last name with Sondheim for some reason, which doesn't make any sense. Steven Soderbergh has directed some of my favorite movies, and until recently I didn't even put it together that the same person directed all these movies. He directed Traffic, which is one of my favorite movies. Last year he directed Contagion, which Carter and I talked endlessly about because it was amazing. He directed all the Ocean's movies. Some of them are better than others. And then because I realized how much I liked him, I went back and started watching some of his other films. We watched Out of Sight, which is a George Clooney, Jennifer Lopez crime romance movie, which if you look at all the elements of it, it doesn't look like it should be a particularly good movie. It was fantastic. It's the best thing I've ever seen Jennifer Lopez do. I have no idea how it took over 10 years for me to see that movie. Of course, he also directed Sex, Lies, and Videotape. That was his debut. But anyway, so we're going to see Haywire, and this never happens. This never happens. But we get to the theater, and we're looking at the board, and we're 5 minutes late, which is not a big deal. And the one showtime for Haywire had started 5 minutes ago, and there's a showtime that's starting right now, at the time we arrived, for The Grey. And here's my experience with The Grey. I had no interest in it when I first saw the trailer, probably as long as 6 months ago. I remember seeing a trailer probably last summer, maybe 5 months ago. But I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, this is obviously trying to appeal to the same audience that liked Taken, which I still haven't seen, and why? I don't care. There are certain types of action movies that I just don't care about anymore. Taken is probably one of them, unless there's something that I'm really missing, and I don't think there is. So I instantly dismissed The Grey. I was like, this is just whatever. This is another version of Taken. It's just Liam Neeson being a badass. Whatever. Plenty of people will have fun with it. I don't need to see it. Then about a month ago, the Butt-Numb-A-Thon Festival was held in Austin, Texas. It's been held years and years, almost 10 years now, probably. Oh, it's been over 10 years. I'm looking at it now on Wikipedia. The Butt-Numb-A-Thon is held for the birthday of one of the founders of Ain't It Cool News every year at the Alamo Cinema in Austin, Texas. It is a 24-hour marathon of movies. You cannot leave. If you leave, you cannot come back. You can go out to the lobby, but you can't leave. And the festival, the film festival, the 24-hour film festival, has had a number of debuts. Very famously, they debuted 300 and V for Vendetta there. It's a really good crowd to try and get the ball rolling on a very nerd-friendly movie. I'm seeing here that other debuts, and some of these I didn't even know, debuts include The Passion of the Christ, The Lord of the Rings trilogy, Dreamgirls, Chicago, Black Snake Moan, Snatch, which is a fantastic movie, Magnolia, which is a fantastic movie, Knocked Up, and King Kong, the new one, of course. They didn't debut the 1933 King Kong there. So anyway, the point is, they played The Grey there last month. And Bernie Burns, Rooster Teeth's Bernie Burns, who I listened to on the Drunk Tank on their podcast, went this year, and he saw The Grey, and he said, forget whatever you may think about this movie, whatever preconceived notions you have. In fact, if you can avoid seeing the trailer, don't see it, and go see this movie. It is not what you expect. And the reviews have been fairly positive going into this weekend. It sits now with like an 80-something, or 78 maybe. It kind of slipped in the last few hours. Okay, it's down to a 79. It was up at somewhere like an 88 for a little while yesterday, or the day before. But that's a good rating. And we're standing there in line, and I'm looking at Haywire, and I'm looking at the gray, and my mind has kind of been changed by this point last night. I want to see the gray. We were going to see Haywire, but I'm of the mind that I will see the gray at some point. And Alicia's looking at the board, and she was like, "Do you want to see the gray?" And I was like, "Kind of." And she was like, "Let's see the gray." And I was like, "Cool, let's see it, let's see it." I will not spoil anything. This will contain no spoilers, except for what may have been in the trailer. And it's only going to be one thing. It's only going to be one thing, and it was in the trailer. It's in the commercials. It's very obvious. First of all, let me say this about the movie, and this should be the reason that you go see it. This should be the reason that you go see it. This movie is being completely mismarketed. It should be marketed in the same line of movies that I would place Jaws and Pitch Black and any, and now of course my mind is failing me, any good blend of the horror thriller genre. That is what this movie is. It is horrifying. I don't get scared and jump during movies. I got scared and jumped during this movie several times, which is awesome. That's a cool feeling to have. Liam Neeson's great. The supporting cast, who I don't recognize a single one of them, was also great. And this is the one point that may be a spoiler, but it's in the trailer. At the very beginning of the movie, a plane goes down. That's the spoiler. The plane crash, the scene that is the plane crash, I haven't seen a lot of plane crashes in movies, but I feel like I've seen enough. This is the scariest crashing of a plane I've ever seen. This movie will never be shown on an in-flight movie. Wow. Wow, wow. I wanted to grab onto the seat next to me to use it as a flotation device. I was terrified. What a good movie. By the way, Alicia liked it too, so it was all good. In case you can't tell by just looking at it, not going to be real happy. So, you know, like, don't go in there expecting sunshine and smiles. Go in there with, like, a couple tissues and maybe some kind of, like, existential philosophy on your mind. So that'll do it. Highly recommend The Gray. Definitely the best movie I've seen so far this year, for sure. It was great. It was great. Great. Gray. Gray. Great. Gray. Click.